Hi guys, Trevor Swenson with Through the Darkness. Wanted to revisit part 2 of medications. Had a few more thoughts that I would like to share with you because I keep getting questions or there are comments made by my family or people that are close to me. So I figured I would cover a few more aspects of the medication part of my journey. One of the first points I want you to hear from my journey with medications is that observations from other people was very important in my journey to figuring out medications that worked out better for me. I found that, for instance, my wife would see things in me, hear things in me, and make observations that were extremely accurate, even though I couldn't feel them at the time or see them at the time. And so ask for input from people that are around you, that you trust and that you love, as far as observations that they might see, things they might hear, changes they might see in you, because it was very, very helpful to me. So helpful that there were multiple times that I would bring my wife to appointments, either with a psychiatrist or to therapy, because she gave such a good perspective coming from a spouse and observing me for so many hours during the course of the week or the weeks that passed between appointments. And so that was very, very helpful, is to bring somebody trusted and loving to appointments. If it isn't an actual active therapy session, if it's a medication adjustment session that may be helpful to you, it was very, very helpful to me. What I noticed about medication, as far as what it did for me, is with PTSD, the highs and the lows of the negative emotions were very, very high and even would be considered dangerous. The lows were very, very low, and the anxiety and the hyper-arousal are very, very high, like off the charts high, like complete loss of quality of life. And what I noticed about medications is that the medications didn't solve or take away the trauma, but what the medications did was knock down the highs and the lows, and made things a little bit more manageable, and made it to a point where I was more able to deal with recovering from PTSD, if that would make sense. Medication for me by no means cured me, because they haven't figured out a cure for PTSD, but they have figured out things that very much heal and very much take away the uncomfortable aspects of it on a day-to-day basis. The way I'd like to put it is it creates a more solid platform for you to heal and recover. Speaking from my own experience, is that it created a more solid, a more consistent platform for me to deal with my strong emotions on a more healthy manner, in a more healthy manner, whether it be anger. I take something to deal with agitation and anger because I am in a very angry stage of my PTSD, and I have been for some time, and it's normal and it's okay. And rather than struggle with complete insomnia, and rather than really having to fight lashing out at people or towards people, I take something for it to knock the highs and lows of the agitation down and make it as manageable as possible. I also wanted to let everybody know, if it might be helpful, that my therapy, or the approach to my recovery and my healing, is multi-pronged. And by multi-pronged, I have 3 medications that I'm on. I do aggressive and normal cognitive therapy, and then also the healing part of the therapeutic part of the process as well. And then there's the EMDR, which fits somewhere in between as far as that is concerned. So in attacking PTSD, I guess the best way that I can put it is medication for me is just one part of the puzzle. And I also touched in the first video on medication that my baseline has been changed so drastically without medication that at this point I need the medication to put me in a position where I feel like healing, to where I want to heal, to where I am feeling healthy enough to get out and do things that I know are very healing for me. So hopefully that is a little bit more descriptive as to exactly what medication has done for me. I also want to tell all of you that are listening to this to not be discouraged with medication if it doesn't work for you right away, because I have been on at least 6 different medications as far as my treatment is concerned. Some of them didn't work, some of them worked for a short amount of time, and we think we have found one that is working fairly well for me right now. And working fairly well, remember, doesn't mean that I'm ready to rock and roll and go take the world by the tail. Literally, a medication working for me means that I'm able to be somewhat part of normal everyday life and be mostly present when it comes to normal family interactions. And that to me is a huge step in the right direction, because there was a fairly lengthy time that I didn't do much of anything while we were trying to figure out meds on one off of another, and my life was really in a really crappy spot. So I understand what that feels like to be in a really crappy spot with PTSD and unresolved trauma. But I want you also to take hope and not to get discouraged if it takes multiple times for you to figure out with your doctor what works out well for you, because each medication is going to react differently with each different person and each different situation. Because as we've talked, PTSD manifests itself in so many different ways. For me, it is anxiety, depression, lack of interest in doing anything, and finally the anger part of it, which I haven't gotten figured out yet, but I am patiently enduring that season and walking through that season right now. A better quality of life was my goal when going on medication. I knew in the studying that I had done, I knew in talking with therapists and doctors that improving my overall quality of life was the goal. And I really would put my goal at my quality of life being what it was pre-PTSD, so pre-10 years ago for me. And the best person to measure that outside of myself is going to be my wife and those people that are around me. They will see that spark again. They will see me involved in more and more things and anticipating things and being excited about things again. That's what's missing right now. But right now, with the help of medication and therapy and EMDR and immersing myself in God's beautiful creation and really soaking it in, like taking a bath in creation, that is the road that I'm on right now. And I wanted to touch on the medication part in a little bit more detail than I did my first episode on medication. So this will be part 2. And I want to finish by telling you that communication is absolutely key. communicating about the symptoms, communicating about what people are observing in you, communicating with how you're feeling exactly, really paying attention. And if that means journaling, if that means notes on your phone, I use my phone to write and to take notes all of the time. Whatever it is, communication is absolutely key. But I just wanted to give a few more pointers in my journey with medication, with PTSD, and what it has been like for me, and some things that have worked and not worked for me in this journey through post-traumatic stress disorder and trauma and stressor-related disorder. So I hope today's message was helpful for you. I hope today's message was hopeful for those people around you, that there is hope, that there are brighter days ahead, that it's just a journey, that it's a season, that it's a chapter that we have to navigate through. God is still good. God knows exactly where you're at. He's never surprised by anything. He's not surprised in how you got where you're at. He's not surprised where you're at. His love is bigger than anything you could ever imagine for you personally, and I don't want you to ever forget that, because in walking through this dark valley, that is unshakable. That is important to remember, that you have an almighty God and creator that loves you so much. He's there with you, and that matters. I can't wait to be with you next time. Make sure you click subscribe. It would be great if you click subscribe and we gain some more subscribers. Hit the notification bell. Forward this to somebody that might be anxious or worried or have questions about somebody else's medication journey. That would be mine. I can't wait to see you next time. This is Trevor Swenson.